Hello, this is Lance Cleveland. Today I'm going to show you some of the new tricks I've learned with Vagrant. I've been using Vagrant to do WordPress development for some time now, and one of the things I found out today is that I should have upgraded to the full Vagrant version 2 experience a while ago. So in setting up my new MacBook, I went and downloaded the repo and updated it to version 2. So for those of you who already have Vagrant installed, especially an older version, you'll want to go and pull the latest repo to get Vagrant version 2. It's going to make your life a lot easier. For example, one of the things I had was a custom dashboard file, an HTML file that gives you a page to be able to launch your sites, and I had all my custom sites listed there. Well, with VVV version 2, it gives you a list of all the sites if you boot it up automatically. This is the default template for VVV2. And with V2 of this product, you'll see I've got my test site here. Any new site I add will get listed down here in a bunch of boxes, and that's essentially what I did with my custom dashboard. Now, for those of you who are starting fresh, I'm going to go over a couple of the components you're going to need to even start with VVV to do some WordPress development. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go and get Vagrant by HashiCorp. That's at vagrantup.com. Download that for your box. I'm using Mac OS, so I'm going to show you a lot of the stuff on Mac OS and command line with Mac OS, so you can do the same thing with Windows. The other thing you'll need to do is get VirtualBox. I prefer using VirtualBox as my guest box for driving my Vagrant development. So you're going to want to get both of those things installed, and then you're going to want to go to the VVV repo, and that's at GitHub. So it's on github.com under varying-vagrant-vagrants. And what you'll want to do is, the first thing you'll want to do is clone the VVV repository. This is the main repository that will drive VirtualBox for you. So you're going to clone that to a local directory. Typical location is in your home directory under Vagrant Local. So I've also got Get already installed on my box, and you can see I've got this pulled here with the latest version. So once you have that installed, you're going to want to do a Vagrant up. That will automatically do the first time provisioning of the box, and what it does is it will create this www directory, and it'll create different subdirectories. Now I've disabled and taken out the default WordPress builds, the nightly build and the standard build. I don't need those for what I'm doing today, and it's a lot faster for me to boot up without those enabled. So once you have that installed and up and running, you should be able to go to your browser, and you're going to want to type in the full address vvv.test. They've dropped the old .dev extension that's owned by Google, so current recommendation is to go to vvv.test. And when you load that up, you get a page similar to this, less your custom sites. So this is the new trick that I've learned. This is the custom sites. Now, I used to create my own provision files and do all this fancy stuff with version 2 to get the sites to spin up and pull the latest WordPress version down. Now, essentially for my plugins, what I want to do is I want to work off the latest nightly build, which is, in this case now, 4.9 just came out yesterday, so it'll be the 5.0 version is the nightly build, or the latest stable release of WordPress, which, as I mentioned, as of today is 4.9. And what I would do is all this custom configuration. Well, turns out with VVV2 it's a lot easier. So what you want to do is you're going to go to your Vagrant local directory, and you want to create a custom YAML file, that vvv-custom.yml. So the easiest way to do it is to copy vvv-config.yml to vvv-custom.yml, which I've done here. And then you want to edit it. And I'm going to show you what I've got in VVV custom, so you can follow along. So to add my custom WordPress test site, what I did is I copied one of these other sections here from WordPress default, and I pasted it in here. Spacing is important. You want 2 spaces to lead in, and indent everything with a couple of spaces. It's a lot easier for YAML to read it, and it will give you less issues. If you have problems, you want to make sure there are no typos. And one of the first things I learned was, rather than doing all my own custom provision files, is to set the repo. You can see I've set it to the Vagrant custom site template repository. And again, this is back at under varying Vagrants on GitHub. You'll see this custom site template repository, and this is the URL you're going to want to use. The HTTPS version of this URL is what you're going to want to paste into that file. What that does is it allows you to configure a default WordPress development environment and set the WordPress version using custom tags. So one of the most common custom tags here when you're setting up your YAML file is WP version. I've got it set to nightly. I can also change this to be latest and pull the latest version as well. So I'm going to switch it over now and I'll show you how that works. So I can come over here and change this to latest. And now when I restart my box and reprovision my box, it will actually download the default WordPress setup. It's going to name my host wpslp.test and put it on the latest version of WordPress. You can set it to 4.6, 4.4, whatever version you want to test on, and then reload and reprovision your box. What you'll get is when you reboot and reload the guest itself, you'll get this page and it will list your site. And you can click on the link and it'll bring you to the test site. The default username is admin and the password is password, and you can see I'm running version 5.0. So rather than doing all this custom work now, I can do Vagrant reload provision, and it will reload this box with the version of the latest build, which is 4.9 stable release. So that's going to save you a lot of time doing custom development boxes. I can have as many of these as I want. I can come in here and copy this. Often I'm working on several projects, so I can have project 1.test, project 2.test, project 3.test, and it will create different subdirectories that I can then edit the code. I use PHP Storm to edit the code in these directories and make these my sources, and then I can edit the config files and all that locally. Another thing I do is map directories, so I can have one WP content plugins directory and share that on multiple sites for doing custom test runs of my Store Locator Plus plugin. So I'll show you that in the next video. As always, thank you for watching.